So I think when you take a body to a morgue, they don't just receive it. They have to also double check if he's there.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Pluto Show, and as I told you that I'm going to introduce a new segment whereby the few people that agree to share their inspirational stories or whatever they have been through in their lives, so that we can be able to inspire other people through their stories. So here I am, and shortly I'll be introducing my first guest in this show, and actually it's been an honor, and guys, I look forward to us being able to hear and watch more inspiring stories from people, so that we can be able to educate, so that we can be able to inspire lives. So guys, welcome back to the Pluto Show, and I told you today we have our first guest, who is Stacy Wanjiro. So Stacy, welcome to the Pluto Show.
Thank you.
And basically we are here to talk about her life, because as I told you earlier, I know it's about to inspire many of you guys and some of you who might be going through whatever Stacy Wanjiro passed through, and she's been able to fight that, and that's why we are with her today, because she can be able to stand here and say, I passed through these and these, and she can be able to inspire other people. So Stacy Wanjiro,
Yes.
I would want you to introduce yourself, like in your own words, like where you come from, where you live, and the age, before we continue with basically more of the questions.
Okay. My name is Stacy Wanjiro. I come from Kitengela. Basically, I was born in Kiambu. Yeah. So I'm a mother of two. One who's 14, and I have another one who's late. Yes.
Basically, Stacy Wanjiro is supposed to be having 3 kids as per now, but she lost one kid at 8 months old and another one at 3 days old, and that's why we have her today, so that she can be able to share her story with us. So I would like to start. You've said your age.
Yes.
You are.
My age. I'm 31. Yeah, just turned 31.
31. Are you married or
no? I'm
or single?
No, I'm a proud single mom of, right now currently 1. Yeah.
So basically, you said that you have a kid now. The one who is let me call him a survivor, because he's the one who is living right now. And you said he's how many years?
He's 14.
14.
Yes.
So basically, ulimpata ukiwa how old?
I was in school by then. I was in school, so around, I can't really do the math, but I was young. I was in school. Before
maybe we get deep, how do you narrate your journey as a single mother?
It's not easy. You take a day at a time. You have to be there for your child at the end of the day. So you work hard. You work hard towards what you want for your child. Yeah.
Sure. And like the kid who is 14 years, like does he have a good relationship with the dad, or you decided to stay?
No, he okay. The dad is not there. So basically, I'm calling myself a single mom because I've been there for him since birth, and it has not been easy. Actually, it's not easy till now. But right now he's in class 8. Okay, so we're just kicking in, but he doesn't have any relationship with the dad.
Oh, so basically he has grown up with you
me.
Totally.
Yes.
So now I want us to now get deep about the other 2 kids, because actually, guys, we are here for those people who've lost their loved ones, and sometimes you don't get someone to talk to, and I believe after sharing her story, you can be able to contact her and be able to talk with her and get to understand how maybe you can cope up with things around you. Now you've lost 2 kids.
Yes.
Both are boys, both are girls, or one boy, one girl?
Both are boys.
Both are boys.
Yes.
So when did you lose the first one?
I gave birth to the second born, who's I named him Kenneth.
Kenneth, yeah.
Yes, so I gave birth to him on January 2014, date 17, and I lost him on September the same year.
So basically, would you tell us like what happened to baby Kenneth?
Okay. First, I can say my pregnancy with baby Kenneth was smooth, was okay. Of course, there are those ups and downs, but initially I had a smooth pregnancy until the day I gave birth to him. When I gave birth to baby Kenneth, I was discharged after 2 days in the hospital, but they did not realize that he had jaundice. Jaundice is yellowness in a baby. So he didn't really have that much of yellowness in him because the dad was a brown skin, very brown skin. So we thought it's just color, you know. Plus, when the baby is born, you wouldn't even realize when a baby has jaundice or something. So we were discharged, we went home. After 3 days at home, I remember I went to change him, mother's instincts too. So I went to change him. Changing him, you know, when you change a baby, they always want to pee. Like they feel free, they want to pee. So when he went to a short call, he peed blood clots. They were clots. So when I saw the clots, I was shocked because I thought it's normal at that time. I thought it's okay, but again I was like, it's a boy, so mkojo yake it's too reddish, you know. So I dressed him up, rushed him to the hospital, and I carried the diaper. So going to the hospital, I remember it was Mama Lucy. That time I used to live.
Hospital.
Yes, that time I used to live in Umoja. Used to live in Umo. So I rushed him to the nearest hospital, which was Mama Lucy. By then, though, I think ilikuwa imefunguliwa, imeopeniwa, so it was still new. So taking him to the hospital, I explained to the doctor what I saw, and I opened the diaper and I showed him. Showing him, he came close to the baby and he told me, "Mom," he said in Swahili, "Mom, auoni mtoto akona yellow?" I was like, I don't know when a baby has yellow. I don't even know how a baby looks like when he has yellow. Like, me, I thought it's just the skin, like normal skin, because the dad is brown skin. So we were admitted. They came and put a straight line on his...
Saizo alikuwa na miaka ngapi? Alikuwa na how many months?
3 days, not months.
Oh, 3 days.
Yes,
Okay.
Yes, he was 3 days. So we were admitted to Mama Lucy hospital, and then he was put in a photo, like a phototherapy, like a phototherapy. When they put kids inside when they have jaundice. The light helps the jaundice get off the body.
Oh, the light.
The light. So we stayed in Mama Lucy for almost 4 days. The baby was not feeling okay. Things were not changing, they were getting worse. And he didn't get too much attention from the doctors, from the nurses. Because so it got to a point we decided to call to do a referral, to ask for a referral to Kenyatta Hospital.
Yes.
So they gave us a referral, and we were taken to Kenyatta Hospital after 4 days in Mama Lucy. Going to Kenyatta Hospital, the doctors received baby Kenneth as an emergency.
Yeah.
And myself, mentally, I can't even say I was fine. I think I was just taking a day not even a day at a time. I was just seeing my son go through that, and barely a week old. It just made me feel so helpless, you know.
Sure.
It got to a point I just wanted to if I had the strength, I would take whatever Kenneth was going through and handle it myself, you know. So when we reached to Kenyatta Hospital, he was received as an emergency, and he was booked in for surgery. Surgery was for straight lines to the heart so that they can do blood transfusion.
Okay, let me maybe ask a question, because kuna mtu anaweza kuwa maybe he doesn't understand what jaundice is. Like Ebu, you could maybe explain that yellowness and jaundice, like
what it causes.
Yeah, what causes jaundice? What is jaundice? The disease itself.
Okay, I can say jaundice is the yellowness in a baby, and it is caused by the blood of both parties, as is Kizani.
Oh, the father and the mother.
It's called
Okay.
racers.
Okay.
So me was racers negative, and that is what that caused my baby Kenneth.
Okay.
Yeah, having jaundice. So getting to Kenyatta Hospital, being booked in as an emergency, we stayed there. He was booked in as an emergency, and he was taken to surgery after 2 days, because they had to do tests za bilirubin. Bilirubin is to figure out how far the jaundice has gone, and if he really needs the blood transfusion. So bilirubin zake, they were very, very high. They were very, very high, and even being put in the light, the phototherapy light, it still wasn't working, because the yellowness is already in the blood, in his blood. Like the blood has to come off. So he went to surgery after 2 days, and I remember, let me take you through that day. I remember it was in the morning. The doctors came around 7 and told me baby Kenneth should be prepared for surgery. And all I could do is look at my son, because he couldn't breastfeed. He was being fed milk via tubes. So I would breastfeed them. I would get the milk off to a bottle, and then
give him.
Yeah, I was given a syringe. That syringe, he had a tube from his nose to his mouth to his stomach. So I would open that tube and raise it up, and then put the syringe, and then pour the milk, so that it can go directly to the stomach. So when the nurses came that day, they told me not to feed him, because he's going for surgery. And they came, and I was happy that he has been booked in for surgery, because I thought the process would go, I would get off the hospital very fast and just take him home. But it just didn't happen. So I went, the doctors came, they prepared him for surgery. I escorted him to the theater. No, when you reach the theater's door, you don't go in.
Yeah, sure.
You just give your patient and
you leave.
You're left. So I asked the doctors, how long will the surgery take for the straight line to be put, and for him to come and they do the blood transfusion.
So the straight line that is being put ilikuwa imsaidia na nini?
Moja ilikuwa, mbili zilikuwa za damu.
Okay.
Damu yake yenye inatolewa. And then the other one ya damu yenye anawekwa. And then there was for water.
Okay.
So he had 3 straight lines. They were put here in the neck to the heart.
And it's a 4 days baby.
Yes, it's a 4 days baby. And seeing my son, so going to the theater, I was told he will take 45 minutes to be put the straight line, and I said it's fine because you don't have an option, you don't have anything to do. So I was told to go back to the ward. And going back to the ward, my son took 7 hours. I kept running in the hospital, like from one floor to another, going to check what's happening, you know, asking the nurse. When you go to the reception, you ask the nurse, what's happening to baby Kenneth, and they're like just telling you, wait, he's coming. So at some point, it got to a point when I could look at my phone and see 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hours have gone.
And they told you 45 minutes.
They said 45 minutes. And you know, sometimes when you talk too much to a nurse, she sees as if you're nagging.
Yeah, sure.
You know. So they told me, because I hadn't slept, they told me to go and sleep. When my son comes, they'll wake me up, but I couldn't.
Sure.
So what I did was I would go to the floor of the theater. Definitely, it's cold. The area is very cold. There is nobody. You can't knock. You can't enter. You don't know what's happening. Your son is in there. You're not sure if he's there. Something happened. So I kept going to the floor, upstairs, downstairs, until finally he was brought. So coming, I was called by one of the doctors who had done the surgery. Before I had seen him. I had not seen him, so I saw the gowns and everything. So when he came towards me, he told me, I looked at him and what I was expecting was something had happened. But he came and told me it was successful. The straight lines were put and he's okay. So I proceed to where he's being done the blood transfusion in a different room. And I should breastfeed. Before doing the blood transfusion, I was asked for blood. I was told I need someone to come and donate for him to get the blood transfusion. So I want to say thank you to my brother who came through for me, and he gave out his blood and everything went okay. So the blood transfusion was a success. Yeah. But I would watch the whole process from the window. Because the room he was in you could see everything that was happening, but from the outside. Yeah. So after the blood transfusion, it was a success, and my son was brought to the ward, but he still had the straight lines on his neck. Then they had to do other tests before the straight lines were removed. They had to do other bilirubin tests to make sure that there's no jaundice in him. There's nothing that's left. What he has is the blood that was given, you know. So we had to stay in the hospital for a very long time. We stayed in the hospital for almost 3 weeks, almost close to a month, in Kenyatta Hospital. So after the tests were done and the results came out that he's jaundice free. But being jaundice free, it didn't mean that everything was over. The doctor came and it was a she actually. They used to come different of them. He would come a male, a female. So a female doctor came and told me there are complications when blood transfusion is done to someone. Initially that is not his blood. So it can accept the body can accept the blood
or reject.
Or even if it accepts the blood, there are those conditions that normally come up. So I was told my son I would see conversions. My son would converse. There and then I never had my son cry again. I never had his voice ever again after the blood transfusion. I never had his voice. He would cry but no voice.
So the surgery was successful, but voice was gone.
Voice was gone. the conversions. The conversions started happening. One conversion happened in the hospital after the street lines were off, and he was put a small bandage so that the blood cannot come off. And as when we were waiting for the discharging day, we were so happy. I was so happy that I would take my son back home after a long time in hospital. He convulsed. I didn't know that those are conversions.
Maybe you'd explain a little what conversion is.
Conversion is you can converse and your body is stiff like a stone. Your body becomes stiff like a stone. You can't move your fingers. You can't move anything. If you converse, you're there. So my son conversed and became so stiff that even when I tried to lift him up, I felt like it's a stone I'm lifting. And that conversion makes him not breathe. He can't breathe, and his mouth is very wide. Very wide.
And he can't cry.
And he can't cry. There's no sound. He can't cry, but he's convulsing. I called the nurse. They came and explained to me, and they said to do mouth-to-mouth air. So I did mouth-to-mouth air there and then. And then he did, and then the conversions disappeared. They just went. And I was called in the office, and I was told that will be happening. I should avoid, but that will be happening often. It's because of the blood he has in him. And we were discharged.
Now, at this moment when you were discharged, the child was how many months?
He was a month.
A month
And a week.
Okay.
Yes. That is when we were discharged back at home. So going at home, life became hard. It was me and my son in the house, and my firstborn son, Stuart. So I had to take Stuart back to my mom's.
Stuart is the firstborn?
The firstborn.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to take Stuart at mom's.
By this time, the firstborn was around what age?
He was, right now he's 14. So he was initially around roughly 6. Okay.
So ukampeleka
kwa mom.
Yeah.
Because singe manage
both of them, yeah.
Both of them. Na singe andika nanny. I wouldn't have gotten a nanny in the house because I was told to handle my son by myself.
Sure.
I couldn't leave my son with anyone because of the conversions. And when he cries for milk or he's hungry, there's no voice.
Yeah.
So I had to stay with my son there for 24/7. Life became really, really hard. So after I took my son home to my mom's, now Stuart, I remained with Kenneth. And Kenneth, he was a fighter. Yes, he would convulse like twice a day, but he was a fighter.
When convulsing, you must be there.
I must be there. Like even if I'm going to the kitchen, I have to carry him with me because I can't leave him in the sitting room. I don't know if he will cry, and when he cries, okay, the conversions was coming when he tries to cry.
Okay.
Yeah, when he tries to cry, that's when the conversions happen. Otherwise, he was everything. Any other time, he was fine. So I would carry him even when I'm going to the loo. He's there with me, seated on my laps, watching him because I don't want him to cry. I don't want him to convulse. in the kitchen when I'm making a meal. I have to be, I would drag anywhere yake ya kulalia. So ninge drag kwa bedroom, kwa kitchen, I drag just so nimwangalie, you know. We did that for 8 months. And he was on medication. Like he was on medication every day. Kuna madawa zilikuwa, he was drinking za reduce that conversion. Yeah, he was on medication. And I used to express milk until it got to a point I don't have milk anymore. The stress, seeing my baby like that, maziwa ilipotea tu. So I went to Nan. I would buy Nan. Nan is a type of milk where it was expensive because at that time it was around 1800, and he would use Nan almost like three kettles, three jars in a week. I'm not working. The dad, we were not really in good terms. Although he was there for him all through. So it was initially me and my son in the house. So I would feed him Nan. He was feeding very well. Very, very well. But ilikuwa inaisha haraka because unaona the more he's growing, the more the Nan unaenda ukiadio unga to a certain ml. Until a certain day. Now I did that for 8 months.
Yeah, sure.
The 8th month, that was on September. I can't forget. It was on September 14th. Before September 14th, the month of September wasn't so nice because his fever started becoming so high. He was a chubby boy, but he started becoming slimming. He started becoming small. You could say he's around 4 months and he's 7. All this period from the time of the hospital to the 7th month, he couldn't stand on his own. He never stood on his own. He was under physiotherapy. There's a physiotherapy from Kenyatta Hospital who would come all the way to Umoja and, you know.
Yeah, sure.
And all this time I had so much hope and faith in God that He's going to pull through. Yes, I will have a baby who has cerebral palsy. But either way, I would still have wanted my son with me, you know, because I did so much for him to be there. So on the 7th month, my baby became very sick. Very sick. And we were back again in Kenyatta Hospital. And thank God that time we were not admitted again. But we went through some tests. And going through some tests, I was told he alichangiwa madawa. He was given different kind of medicine. So what he was taking was put to stop. He was given more stronger medicine to help his system through. Because even feeding became so low. And then my baby became sick and no medicine was okay. No medicine was even putting the fever down, because I would put a thermometer on him and the fever was almost 40. He's hot, like hot. you can feel he's burning. And then the chest he's breathing in a way, he's not fine. So one time I at the 8th month, the seventh month, it's when now all this started. Now the 8th month came in, but no, he's like that. I didn't take him to Kenyatta Hospital, where I used to live. Downstairs there was a hospital.
Yeah.
That is where I took him. Taking him there, I remember they gave him a very strong antibiotic and a very strong medicine ya kupunguza joto. But when I went home with him, because he was not admitted, going home with him, the fever is there. Nothing is working. I'm undressing him. I'm putting him just on without a vest, just on a diaper. But the fever is very, very high. So I remember that fateful day. I took him to that hospital 5 times. 5 times during the day. But I can say that day I was feeling, when I could look at Kenneth and I could see it's like a bright light, like he's just covered with light. I didn't understand what the light was, but I was just seeing him, but I could see he's very bright. And I remember I took him to the hospital the 5th time. And I told the doctor. Actually, the doctor saw me and said, "You are back again." And I'm like, yes, the fever is still the same, and it's actually higher, you know? Yeah. I just didn't know that was like the day I was just spending my time with my son in the hospital. I didn't know things would happen, that it would go to any worse point. So I remember all these things I'm doing alone. I don't have a friend in the house. Majority of my friends were working. My family, they are working and they are far. My sister, my younger sister, who used to live in Narok, but she would come every weekend to clean clothes for my son.
Well, because
I couldn't.
Yeah.
So she would come every Saturday, and I'm not sending her transport or anything, but she would come just to take care of us and then go back to Narok the same day. That day, around 6 in the evening, my son developed a very high fever. That was 39 point almost, it went to almost 40. And I remember I rushed him, like I ran on the stairs. I didn't even close the house. I went very fast, took him to the hospital, and the doctors said, niendelee na madawa. That was the language he used. Niendelee tu na madawa. The medicine that he has given me during the day, he can't change because he has given the baby, so it can't.
Oh, this is the same day that
the
you are
same
taking
day.
him 5 times
This
to the
is the
hospital.
5th time. I rushed and I told the doc, this thing is not, the medicines you're giving me, they're not working for my son. He's burning up. He's not feeding. Even if I put none, he's not feeding. So he sent me back home. He sent me back home. And I went with my son. We stayed in the house. So I prayed. I was praying and telling God to fever to iende to, you know, because you can see the boy suffering with. When you have fever, you're very uncomfortable.
Sure.
So we stayed. That was around 6. We stayed till around 8 in the house, and the fever went down actually. the fever went down. I think I was impatient on the medicines. The fever went down. He was at 37. And we slept early that day, around 7. Before 8, we were in bed. So around 8:30, I was not sleeping myself, because if I sleep, I won't know when he's crying. I won't know when he's conversing, because there's no sound. I won't know anything that's happening. So I'm the kind, I can testify, I used to sit on the bed. My son is asleep there, but I'm seated on the bed and I'm leaning on the wall. Nimeka, looking at him, but I'm sleepy. So my head would fall, naanguka but naamka, because I knew when I lie down I will sleep. So I would go off like that. And one time, around 8:30, my son convulsed. He alilia, like normal babies do. They just, when they wake up, first thing they do is cry. So that is what Kenneth used to do. So I used to stay awake to avoid him cry, because he knew me. Like if he saw me, he would smile. So that time, he convulsed. When he has closed his eyes, he didn't manage to open them. He convulsed. I picked him up very fast before the body becomes stiffer. And then I did mouth-to-mouth air. But doing mouth-to-mouth air, Pluto, nothing was happening. My son was still there. Like once you convulse, umeconvulse, ikikushika kabisa, you stiff kabisa. So I would call him. He knew my voice. I would call him, baby Kenneth. And I told myself, my son does not take this long to come back. When I give him mouth-to-mouth air, he does not take this long to come back. Something is off. I remember lifting him up, rushing. I didn't close the door. That was the second time I didn't close the door. I rushed him to Victory. The hospital was called Victory. I rushed him to Victory, and when I got there, when I was running on the road, the motorbike people were telling me, atakuwa poa, madam. And I'm not even listening. I'm just running to get to the hospital. Reaching in the hospital, Pluto, I was told to put my son on the bed. And I laid my son on the bed, but he's still stiff. He's still very stiff. You can easily break. You can break it. He's that hard. The nurses started attending to him. I asked, where is the doctor? The hospital had maternity. So one of the nurses went, and there's these speakers for the hospital where you call someone by the name, Dr. Flani, kuja room Flani. That nurse went, and another nurse came. There were 2 nurses with Kenneth. Another nurse came and told the nurse who was calling the doctor that the doctor is receiving a baby. He's in the labor room. So he can't come at that time. So they were told to attend to the emergency. Kenneth akaekwa mask, anapewa, wana pump hewa. Nothing is happening. I'm standing there like a zombie. Yani nimesimama tu, it's like I'm not there. Nimesimama tu, I'm just looking at my son. And my heart is like 360. I'm scared. And the nurses stopped. When they stopped, that's when like my mind came back. And I went and asked the nurse, mbona umeacha? Si uendelee tu, like endelea kumpewa hewa. He needs it. Because I knew that is what I made. I was giving him mouth-to-mouth air, so I knew air will wake him up. Because every time I would do mouth-to-mouth air, he would do and then come back. So that is not happening. Simski, he's still stiff. And the nurses are not telling me anything. There's one, so the doctor came. He actually came after like 10 minutes. He came, I think he handed over the case or he was done with what he was doing. And he came and he started, I saw him took 3 fingers and opened my son's chest and started pumping it with the 3 fingers. And there was nothing. Now, the part that scared me was when I saw him do this on my son's neck.
To find whether he had passed.
Yeah. Saw him do the other side. And he turned around and looked at me. He didn't talk, he just shook his head and did this. I told him no. Hata God alinipeanga nguvu hiyo siku because siku react. Niliambianga tu Doki, don't stop. Mpatieni hewa atamka. That is what I have been doing for 8 months. Atamka, mpeni hewa. I even became a doctor and started telling them, niliambua anatakanga hewa. When he convulses, please mpeni hewa. I'm trying to give myself strength. And the doctor told me there is nothing we can do. So he called a nurse and told the nurse, there's this a certain stuff like looks like a wood. I think nile ya kuangalia kama uko na tonsils. He came with it. He was brought for. And upon looking in Kenneth's mouth, the reason why the air was not going in him, he convulsed and blocked the airway with his tongue. And no one thought of opening his mouth. No one thought of, even if he would open his mouth, you wouldn't have seen the tongue, the blockage, because tongue yake ilikuwa already imelalia hapa. Imelalia hapa. So the doctor told me to go and see why the air is not going through. And looking at Kenneth's mouth, I saw the tongue. That's why even in the house, I was giving him air to air, but haikuwa inaenda through. So akaniambia Kenneth passed away on a cardiac arrest. He got cardiac arrest because the conversions, there's no air. He can't breathe on his own. So he got a cardiac arrest. And that's how I lost my son.
That moment when you knew that you lost him in the hospital, like, what was your reaction?
Now when he confirmed, and when he confirmed and I got to learn my son is not there, I became now mad. I was not myself. I took my son and sat on the floor of the hospital, praying and telling God, you give life to this body. I'm ready to live with my son with whatsoever condition, just don't take him away. I even when he told me that the tongue had blocked the mouth, the airway, I would still give air. I tried. I've been told he's not there, but I'm still giving him air.
So baby Kenneth died even before maybe coming to the
Yes,
hospital?
on the road.
Mm.
When he conversed, that's when I lost him. Because I tried giving him mouth to mouth air in the house. So at me running through the stairs to the hospital, he's still stiff and the tongue has blocked the airway. So he got cardiac arrest in between the house on the
and
road.
the hospital.
Yeah.
And now, like, when you knew that you had lost baby Kenneth,
Yeah.
did it ever come to pass to your mind that you'd lose any other baby?
No. I didn't have that in mind. And the most difficult part was me there with baby Kenneth. And the doctor tells me I have to write you a letter for you to take it to the police station. And then the police station will write you a letter that will allow the mortuary to accept the body. I stayed in that hospital with Kenneth. Even when he was there lifeless, I stayed there for almost an hour and a half, waiting for my siblings, because I had to call someone. I called my siblings, and my sister used to live in Mesora, Buruburu, my elder sister. And that day, my big brothers were there, Dennis and William. And when I told them what had happened, they took a taxi from Mesora and came to Victory. The hardest part was taking my son to a funeral home. While I know I was with him like 2 hours ago and we were okay, and he was smiling at me, you know. Wow. So the doctor gave us the letter. I took my baby in my arms, lifeless. I entered in the taxi with him with a letter that says it was a cardiac arrest that caused the death. Now from the hospital, we were going now to the police station, Buruburu police station, where we went and we were given a letter. It didn't take long. It took close to 15 minutes for them to draft it. And it was attached to the letter that I was given in the hospital. And we drove to Montezuma. Going to Montezuma, I was cold. I was shaking. The thing that was in my head is, where am I taking my son to? What is this place? Why, you know? That time I didn't even want to hear that there's a God who lives or God who hears prayers. Like, I had prayed for my son for 8 months. And then the last minute, he just left. Getting to Montezuma Pluto, that path was very dark towards Montezuma. So the only Montezuma gate, and then you would see the big name, Montezuma Funeral Home, Mona Lisa. And I remember I asked my elder sister, Diana, aki huku ni wapi tumekuja? I asked her that like 3 times in the car. Huku ni wapi tumekuja? Si turudi tu nyumbani. Before the gate was opened ya Montezuma so that the car can enter, I took my son off the car and I stood with him outside. I didn't want to see myself enter that place. That was my first time in Montezuma. And then there was, my bro came, my elder brother came, Dennis, and hugged me and told me, twende tu, tuko hapa, twende. And I remember I told Dennis, mimi staki. I don't want to enter to Montezuma, staki, turudi to home. I'm holding my son, remember, hata sijampea anybody. I'm just there with my son, he's covered. So I finally entered the car. I went back in the car again, and the taxi driver drove to the receiving area. There was no one apart from the soldier who opened the gate. Otherwise, venye tuliingia, there was no one else. It was just a silent place, very silent. I stayed in the car again for almost 10 minutes. The others were outside, but I was left inside with my bro Dennis. But my sister and now wengine walikuwa nje, even the taxi driver. So I'm just there crying, and nimelia mpaka machozi hakuna. Like I can literally say that day I lacked tears, but I could cry, but there were no tears. Then when I was still in the car, I saw, this is a picture that is in my head every day. I can say every day of my life. I see it every day. A guy came from Montezuma huko chini. You know, Montezuma, it's like a mansionate, and then kuna manyumba hapo zingine, I think. So the guy came off from that side. He came wearing all white. The gumboots were white. The coat was white. He had a white kakofia. Hey, Pluto, when I saw that, I freezed again. I became stiff myself. I felt like I'm convulsing. I felt now it's time, you know. I'm handing my baby over to something, like I'm handing my baby over to someone. And he came and I was still in the car, and then my bro came off the car and came on the side I was, opened my door. Upon opening my door, I refused to come out. But already the receiver, the morgue attendant, was standing at the receiving door. And I heard him ask, mumeleta nani? Mumeleta nani? Everyone, no one spoke. No one said mutoto. No one said there's a baby in the car. No one said there was no one spoke. Until I came out holding my baby. And I came out, my brother locked the door, and nikalin kwa mlango. Because I didn't want to take another step towards the morgue attendant. And he asked again,
mumeleta nani?
Mumeleta nani? No one is speaking. No one is talking to him. So I took my first steps towards him. I didn't even say ni huyu, I'm bringing my son. He just looked at me and saw how sad I was. I'm all tears. And he opened a door, and that room was full of lights. I've never seen lights like that. It was full of lights, and there was a metal bed that was very big and very high. And he told me, muekele hapa. Pluto, looking at where I'm being told to place my son, a very cold bed, very heavy metal. And I'm being told to place my son in such a place. I didn't. I didn't do it immediately. He saw I couldn't, and he tried to play with my mind and told me, nisainia hapa kwanza.
Yeah.
There was a big book full of records, people's records, and I was told to write baby Kenneth's name there, my name, my phone number, signature. And I told my sister to just do it for me because I don't even have the strength to write anything. And I don't even want to stop holding my son. Finally, I placed him on the metal bed. Placing him on the metal bed, Pluto, he uncovered my son because I had covered him. He uncovered my son, and I see that face every day. I see my son's face every day. I see how he looked. I can see that face, like how he uncovered him, and his chest was out. He had no clothes because back in the hospital the doctor had tried to, so they didn't dress him up. They did not dress him up. So I think when you take a body to a morgue, they don't just receive it. They have to also double check if he's there. So the morgue attendant did this again. And I had hopes like maybe he's there, you know. And then he told me, nimemreceive. That is what he told me. Nimemreceive.
It's okay.
So telling me nimemreceive, akamtoanisha lao properly, like kabisa. I was given the clothes he was wearing. He was left there naked, like no clothes. Just the diaper he was on. Seeing him placing him in that cold bed. Now there are no clothes. There is no flannel, nothing, no blanket. Now he's there in that bed and hakuna kitu imekelewa. Imeto peke. I just screamed and I went and sat on Montezuma. There are stairs. At the receiving area there are stairs. So I sat on the first stairs. And then I saw him. I woke up again, went to him. I just hold him so tight on my chest. I do want to know whether he was on a metal bed. I just hold him so tight, and his back was very cold because the metal is like extremely cold. So I hold him so tight and his back was freezing. Until I cried out. At least I thank God the morgue attendant gave me time with him before he took him away. So after that, after I hugged him and I left him there again, and I went to sit on the stairs, my bros came. Dennis was this side and William was this side, and they were just holding me, and my sister was somewhere outside confused, and he locked the door. The morgue attendant locked the door, and that was the last time I saw my son on that day. So I went back home. On the journey, I remember when I had refused to get in the car because I was telling my sister, acha nibaki na yeye hapa. Mimi nitamkalisha. I don't mind kumkalisha, nitakaa tu. Because I was in denial he's not there. So I told my sister, nyie chukweni tu cab murudi home. Me, I'll stay with my son here at Montezuma. I'm sure they can't lack somewhere for me to stay. And I thank God they were patient with me, because they talked me through until I entered the cab. Entering the cab and the cab guy driving off. Tukiwa pale juu ndio tutoke kwa gate, because it's kamlima kidogo. I asked my siblings, huku ni wapi tumeacha Ken? Huku ni wapi tumewacha Ken? And my bro was telling me, it is okay, it is okay. And we drove off back. When we got to Mesora, I didn't go to my sister's house. I went back to my house. Just getting on the door, his memories were just all over me. Because I was used to entering the door with him. Now I'm entering alone. I used to feed him. The food was there. Like, he had not eaten that day and I had made food. So it was just there. It was hard to get to come along to accept he wasn't. I remember my sister Diana was with me. And I remember I couldn't sleep. I would cry and look at the videos. At the time I had videos of him. I would look at the videos and see how he was a jovial boy. He would laugh. When ukimchekesha anacheka, even though hakuna sauti, unaona he's happy. I would take his feeding bottles. I would take the naan and look at it and wonder, who am I making naan for anymore? Like, I won't make naan anymore. Until my sister saw I'm suffering, and I remember she went back to Victory Hospital and talked to the doctor, and the doctor prescribed some medicine for me to sleep. I was given some medicine to sleep until I woke up around 11 in the morning. That was at night. He passed away at night. So in the morning I woke up and my house was full of people. I slept with knowing my sister is there, but when I woke up, the house was full.
With your friends and family?
My friends and family, my aunties, my uncles, my mom. And when I opened the bedroom door to go to the sitting room, I saw people and I locked it. I locked it because it hit me again. My son is not there. Like, oh, they are here because of Ken. It hit me back. And I just went and sat on the bed and I started crying. Because I didn't want anyone to come and tell me sorry. I don't want anyone to come and tell me we are sorry for your loss.
Guys, let us go to a short break, and then we are going to be back and we are going to pick up from there.